Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Fat Black Woman Podcast, and I'm your host, Deanna Williams. This is, I think, episode number 6, and I hope that you've enjoyed these episodes so far. I try to keep them brief and pithy and somewhat entertaining and informative. But for today's episode, I'm kind of posing a scenario or a question. And I've been reading a lot about, or seeing a lot about Black conservatives, and was reading an article in Blavity where the gubernatorial candidate, the Republican gubernatorial candidate, Winsome Earl, I can't remember her last name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. She's a Black woman, and she is running on the Republican ticket. As a conservative, obviously, as a MAGA person, identifying as a MAGA person, and she has yet to receive the endorsement of the occupants of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And, she was for him. She voted for him in 2020, and then she didn't vote for him or didn't endorse him in 2024. So, he again put on his baby panties or his baby diapers and decided that he's going to go tit for tat and not endorse her. And even though I guess she tried to make amends and it didn't work out to her advantage. So, does she really need him in the state of Virginia for his endorsement to win the race? Signs are showing that it could help her because she's got a significant deficit to her the person that she's running against, a white woman Democrat, and but she's charging ahead, and it begs to differ. Like, well, why wouldn't he? She supported him. She's a MAGA person. Why wouldn't he support her, give her his endorsement, keep the MAGA movement moving along in this MAGA moment? I mean, by all accounts, I would consider her a fat Black woman. She is provocative, she's heightened, she's audacious, she's transformative, she's a former member of the military. She was in the Marines. She's running for governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. She would be the first Black woman governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. She's, not traditional in the respect that she is a conservative. She's a Republican, which we don't often assume Black women to be conservative. I'm going to say that she's intelligence. I mean, she has the audacity to say that I want this top job in Virginia. So why would he not support and endorse this woman? And that kind of goes back to one of my original reasons for starting this podcast, in terms of, from a political point of view, in addressing the conservatives and the Democrats and the Republicans and the progressives and the MAGAs and the liberals and all of that, and trying to figure out, well, where do we as Black people fit in? Like, when it comes time to elections, general or midterms, like, when we are being wooed, we are, just the bee's knees. Our votes are needed. Our presence is needed. We need to be seen. We are the moral compass, if you will. But when the election is over, you don't really hear from us. We're not sought. We are not consulted when it comes to issues that concern the governing of this country. And, is it because we don't command or demand that our voices be heard? On the one side, is it automatically assumed that because we're Black, we're Democrat and we're liberal and we're progressive? Or is it, on the other side, we just believe that the Republicans are so conservative and so racist that they don't have any, our best interests at heart, and they just want to see us, beneath them, or, all they see us as is, a stepping stool or some place to put their knee on our necks. Um, and, it's just one of those things that I'm really curious about. And I would love to have this conversation. I would love to revisit this conversation with actual conservatives and actual liberals or moderates or whoever they are, to find out what they really stand for. What is a Republican? What is a Democrat? What is a conservative? What is a liberal? What is a MAGA? What is a progressive? And understand their core values, their pillars, but see how much they do or don't align with who I am. I mean, and I will make no secret, I'm a 54-year-old woman. I am educated. I grew up in a two-parent family. Both of my parents were professionals. They too were educated. They got their graduate and postgraduate degrees. Um, I live in Washington, D.C. I own property in Washington, D.C., as well as in New York City. I have a bit of a nest egg. Currently, I am unemployed, which is why I have the time to do my podcast. I believe in the following. I believe in pro-choice. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in border control to a degree. I do not believe in what we are doing right now as far as immigration and how they are going about, this administration is going about it. I think that there's more other things that we need to be thinking about other than immigration and spending our resources on immigration the way that we are doing it. There are other things in this country that we should be worried about. I believe that in America, there are three things that citizens of America should not be, and that is homeless, hungry, and illiterate. And the fact that we have substantial numbers of all three is sickening. I believe in the freedom of religion and that it's who you believe in, how you practice it is completely and totally up to you. I believe that regardless of your sexual orientation, your sexual identity, I don't understand it. I don't have to understand it because it doesn't take place in my home, but I do believe and recognize that people are people and that whatever human rights I enjoy as a human, everyone else enjoys as a human. And my personal feelings are just that. They are my personal feelings, whatever they may be, and I'm not going to vocalize them because they don't need to be heard. They don't need to be stated because it has nothing to do with who I interact with outside or who or how somebody chooses to identify or live their lives. If they are human, if they are my neighbor, then I am going to treat them the way I would want to be treated. And I'm going to give them the courtesy that I would expect from them. And if they earn my respect, then they will get my respect. And if I earn their respect, I will get their respect. I believe that everyone should have quality education across the board. I believe everyone should have quality healthcare, preventive healthcare first and foremost, and then anything that will help to curative or post whatever it is that follows it. I am a capitalist. If you have found a way to legitimately make money without hurting or harming someone in the process, then God bless. Go ahead and make that money. So I don't believe in the death penalty, but I believe in public flogging. Go figure. So these are all the things. So where do I fit in in our political space and within these parties and sub parties, within the two parties and then the sub parties, where exactly do I fit in? And who will have me? And is my is am I of value to someone? Do you want to get to know, does either party want to get to know a little bit more about me? And I I don't think that I'm alone in some of the things that I do believe. I am probably fiscally conservative. I probably would want smaller government. But that smaller government comes with a caveat. That smaller government comes with um, taking it all the way back to the beginning in terms of ensuring that, we are all equal. If you want to know the truth, I probably am more for separate but equal. Separate meaning, um, if you if you leave us alone to do our own things and not feel threatened when we are thriving in our own, and we are doing what we do to live and to maintain and to have a good life, I'm good with that. Where we are not forced into integration because that is your way or the government's way or an insecure person's way of keeping an eye on us or keeping their knee on our neck, then I'm fine with that. But we can't have that. So I would love to have this conversation with both ends to figure out, well, where exactly do I fit? And in addition to this conversation, I would love to pose this question. And I think, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think that the current administration, in comparison to their foes, does a better job in terms of visibility on, say, less MAGA friendly news outlets in terms of making the appearances. I have seen many of them make fools of themselves on CNN or MSNBC or ABC news sources. And though they are given like very softball questions and they're not really, their feet aren't really held to the fire when it comes to certain questions, they make themselves available to that. I don't understand why and how the Democrats do not go on Fox. They're kind of, they stick with where their audience is, but clearly that doesn't work because the person who's in the White House is in the White House for some reason, and it's because the Democrats missed their opportunity to really reach and speak to that audience of who is his base. Pete Buttigieg did an amazing job when he was Secretary of Transportation, going on Fox and and not even but discrediting the commentators and discrediting the talking points and the BS that the MAGAs and the MAGites were spewing, and doing it in such a calm and intelligent and laughable way. It just made them look foolish. Excuse me. So, I'm wondering why, and I should say it's not all of them. Mark Kelly was just on there, senator from Arizona was just on there. But I'm wondering why more of them don't do that. I would love to see Jasmine Crockett on Fox and Friends or The Five or whatever, or against Jesse Waters or what's that woman's name? Lara Ingraham. Because she's extremely intelligent and animated and very good with words and alliteration. Love me some alliteration. Or, Hakeem Jeffries. I would love to see, them just be who they are, and, with the knowledge and the education and the references that they can pull out of their hats and fact check Fox and speak plainly to to the base in terms of what they are getting from this administration and what the lies are in this administration. And so I don't understand why that is not happening. I'm in communications, or was in communications and public relations, and I was always of the firm belief that you get your impressions wherever you can get them, and if you know your talking points and you know that what you are saying and what you are believing in is something that is right, then you can go anywhere and you can have the conversation, and you can fight for what it is that you believe in, and you can articulate your thoughts and articulate your position in a way that you persuade people to your side. So these people are politicians. Clearly, they know the power of persuasion. So why not be on Fox or take the opportunity to go on Fox and speak to that person in rural Alabama or Arkansas, or that farmer who's in Indiana, who's still voting for Trump while he's sitting on, I don't know, 4 tons of harvested soybeans that can't be sold, and explaining to that person, this is what this means. Or when you're talking to someone in Louisiana who's like, well, we just need to end this government shutdown because people need to get back to work, and I'm not for giving free health care to immigrants. Well, somebody basically saying, we don't give free health care to Americans. Why would we give free health care to illegal aliens? It just doesn't make any sense, but just speaking plainly to people so that they understand what exactly is happening to them and exactly where their vote has gotten them. And you just have to meet people where they are. And I think that sometimes the Democrats just get so caught up in their own elitism, and their own sense of self, their own self entitlement, that they don't say, you know what, I've got to get down in the dirt, and I've got to explain to people in plain speak. I've got to explain to plain folk in plain speak what exactly is going on here. And I honestly, that's where the occupant at 1600 and his maggots actually have done. And they've done a very good job of it, because they've got the White House, they've got the House, they've got the Senate. Well, now we're at an impasse because everything is shut down, and we've got these threats of furloughs turning into permanent job losses and so on and so forth. But, I'm just curious as to why we haven't seen more of those opportunities, why we haven't seen the Democrats taking more of those opportunities in terms of making themselves known and seen on those conservative, MAGA friendly outlets to to contradict and to fact check the misinformation that these organizations and outlets put out there every day, so that they can continue to keep this myth alive. And, again, knowledge is power. And by affording or taking away the actual knowledge, the information from this group of people, this constituency, then they're just steeped in ignorance. And, it's the Democrats that I think, are allowing that to happen. Now, again, this is an opinion. This is my commentary. Like I said, I live in DC. I am not of DC. They say I'm in the world, not of the world. I am in DC. I'm not of DC. I did not grow up in DC. I think that I'm not well versed in the workings of DC. I quite honestly doesn't make any sense to me in terms of the political sphere of the inner workings of the industry here, which is politics and government. Quite honestly, I did fail at it, because it's a lot of public what is it, passive aggressive. It's a lot of talking in circles. I mean, I worked with the Swiss, and that Swissese is talking in circles where you're like, wait, what? They'll say one thing, do another, but mean another, but say you can do something, but that's not what they said. But if you want to do it, and so that's Swiss East. DC, the Swiss have nothing on the DC speak here. I mean, honestly. So, it is politics. I am apolitical. I shoot from the hip. I am direct, and that's the only way that I know how to communicate. So I did not really have a successful career in communications here in DC because I just didn't get it. I did not learn how to play the game. My mind is not able to be trained in terms of how to play this DC game. And I'm not ashamed about it. There's no shame in my game as it relates to that because it's politics, and we see with politics where we are today. But I say all that to say, maybe there is some kind of reason, rationale behind why we aren't having that kind of conversation, or the Democrats aren't having those conversations to the MAGA constituency. But, to me, it's to their own detriment, to the country's own detriment. And this is why we find ourselves where we are right now. But going back to why I originally decided to take this time to to dedicate this episode to this topic is I'm curious, like who will have Black people? I mean, where do we land? Because quite honestly, I am straight up independent as independent can get. My loyalties don't lie anywhere within politics. And, politics, the way that it is now and the way that it is set up, where it honestly seems like we're making it up as we go along. And, to hell with the Constitution. It was a nice little essay that they wrote for this experiment, but it's kind of shot to shit. So whatever. I just don't really see where I count. Because I'm not a Fortune 50 or Fortune 100 company or a billionaire. I'm not an old white man. I don't see where I have any power to make a change. Is there someone somewhere who can convince me otherwise to get me involved and get me activated and reactivated, if you will? When I look at those who are in the seat of power, those who are in Congress and in the Senate, they've been there for so long. These positions weren't meant to be career positions, but yet and still we have people who've been there for 30 and 40 years. And I ask the question, well, what exactly have you done? What is your big accomplishment? I mean, if you can't get something done in 2, 3, or 4 terms, Senate and Congress, respectively, then what's the point? Then you're not doing anything but collecting a check. And it's a good check. So if you haven't done anything, then, you shat. Now it's time for you to get off the pot. I just came across a gentleman, I forget his name, but he's put his bid in for the delegate, for Congress delegate for DC. He wants to run against Eleanor Holmes Norton. And she's been in this delegate seat since I think it even opened up. And what's the point? I mean, we still in DC have no representation, no serious representation. She's a figurehead. She's been in this position since it became a position. What is the point? What has she done? What can she do? At this point, there's not much that anybody can do because the federal government is taking control away from the DC government in terms of how DC is governed. So our monies are being spent to a delegate, to a figurehead, to do absolutely nothing. Well, why? I mean, again, we're going back and forth or putting on these performative acts that mean absolutely nothing when, money could be better spent in terms of our schools and in terms of our healthcare. But they don't really, it doesn't really seem to be something that people care about as it relates to really we the people. So again, where do I fit in? Where is it that does my voice matter? Where can I really make an impact? Truthfully, honestly, I mean, and I would much prefer you say, Deanna, you know what? Your voice doesn't matter. We don't care about you. We don't care about your thoughts. We don't care about, all we care about is if you work, you give us your taxes, or if you withdraw down from your investments, you pay us your taxes, and then that's that. And, once we get to the point where we've made America great again and we can have you as free labor or minimum wage labor to do the work that we don't want to do, that we got rid of the illegal aliens, immigrants to do, then, we'd love to see you out in the field. Then, I'll take that because at least I know where I stand. But I'm just really curious. And, forgive me for the ramble and the rant. I just, I just, it was just on my mind. So I had to put it out there to you guys. So I would love to hear what you have to say. And any conservative out there, any person who ascribes to the MAGA movement, if you believe that you can communicate and articulate your position, and I would like this to be a black MAGA person, your position intelligently, I would love to dialogue with you. I really would, because I'm just very curious about what you believe and why you ascribe to this particular position. Because I really don't understand it. And it is not to argue. It's not to make fun of or anything like that. I don't want any shucking and jiving buffoonery coonery. None of the diamond silk, none of that. I mean, I'm talking about someone who can actually articulate and form a sentence and not perform, but explain to me why MAGA works for them and how, then I would greatly appreciate it. I mean, you can DM me or whatever it is that they do, but you do, but I really would love to hear from you. So that's that for this episode of Fat Black Woman. Hope you enjoyed it. Welcome, to all of your comments, your thoughts, and peace and blessings. Until next time.